2018, I also started working as an election worker. I didn't know I would fall so much in love with the process, but I worked that general election in 2018 for the first time, and really enjoyed learning first of all about our election process that we have in Johnson County and across the state of Kansas, but also helping people vote. And I continue to do it year after year, and I've done it for the last 8 years and 15 elections that we've had here in Johnson County. Working as an election worker, but as well as a supervising judge on election day. That was something I know. And what I would say about this is that it's given me an experience level that nobody else has when it's running for this position. Pat Crocker certainly doesn't have it. And I think it's really important to keep that in mind, that the man who is working so hard to change all of our election laws in the state of Kansas has never even worked an election and doesn't know how it works. And I think that's a big problem. But that hands-on experience has helped me to understand how our elections work, what it is that our voters need, and how to strengthen that trust in the process. And I think that when we work together to build Kansas where everyone has an opportunity, that's what's really important to me, and it's that public service should be focused on lifting everybody up. That's one of the reasons why we fight for this kind of office. I want accessible, straightforward, and easy voting for everybody. I want people to feel comfortable with their voting process, but also understanding what it is that they're going in to vote for. That's really important to me, so voter education is a huge tenet for me. My focus as a Secretary of State is going to be helping voters understand the laws, the processes, but also their impact that their vote has at every level. But also how much protection we have of the process. It's that the integrity and the security of our elections is really great in Kansas. We don't need a lot of changes to our election processes in Kansas, with a few exceptions. I think we do need to expand our advanced voting period. It's too short. It's the shortest in the nation of 20 days. That is really becoming a limited process now because of the mail, especially. Being able to get the mail ballots turned around, they don't have enough time. And especially now that we lost our 3-day grace period, we can work hard to get that back, but it was, and I think that once voters have knowledge, they feel reassured, and they have that confidence in their vote, and knowing that it actually does make a difference, so they're not wasting their time by going in and actually going through this process. But none of this is possible without a strong participation in our democracy. So everybody in this room, right, talking to your friends, talking to your family, and helping them understand again that level. I can tell everybody that your vote makes a difference and matters, but it really does, this message makes more sense to them coming from someone they know and that they trust and that they've had a relationship with over time. Knowing that our elections do matter, that they impact our day-to-day lives, from everything from the streets that we drive on to the schools that our kids go to actually having access to go and vote, that it can make a difference. Pat Proctor wants to take away our advanced voting period, as well as mail ballots. He thinks that election day should be election day, and that's it. Yeah, it won't work. We would disenfranchise tens of thousands of voters in Johnson County alone if we had just election day working. So we each have the responsibility, obviously, as voters too, to learn about the candidates, what it is that we're voting on. If there's an issue like we have, where we need to vote no, both in August as well as in November, because we have another issue on the ballot in November too that we need to vote no on. And it's important that we make sure that we vote for those people, because democracy depends on that informed and careful participation by all of us. When I say that the Secretary of State, I say this often, that the Secretary of State's office should be a nonpartisan role. I see it as something that should not be, have any kind of, not looking for headlines, not looking to put a finger on the scale of anything. There should be a person who's going in there and is just interested in making sure that everybody understands what their responsibility is when they go to vote. When I say that, I get a really good response from people. I see a lot of agreement and relief from people. That's what they're looking for in their leaders, is someone who's willing to serve all instead of a select group of people. And that's why I'm running. You're just excited to see voters come in to vote. You don't care how they're affiliated. I'm just so glad people are there being a part of that process, and I want them to go and tell their friends to come and join us. That's always my goal every election. And with your help, I think that we can work hard to get this message out there. We can restore the trust that we so desperately are searching for in all of our elected leaders, and strengthen that participation level, whether it's you're going out and knocking doors, or writing postcards and sending them out, if you're helping to make phone calls, or if you're just talking to your family and friends about how they go to vote. What's their choice? Do they like to vote in advance? Do they like to vote by mail? Do they like to go and vote on election day because of that old tradition? We don't have to talk about necessarily what's on the ballot, but just make a plan to vote, because when people have a plan to vote, they are more likely to vote. So make sure that they have that plan to vote. And if we make that effort, we can ensure that every Kansan's voice is heard. And I think that's what we all come together for in these kinds of events, is to make sure that our voices are heard. I hear you, I want to hear more of what you have to say. So feel free to reach out to the campaign.
I can tell you firsthand that